let's break this down. What do you guys think of the big news from last night? Bruce Arians stepping down as Bucs head coach. Freggs, what do you got?
There could be multiple things at play here. Like, everything that Mike and Sarah couldn't be right, and they are right. And the legacy that Bruce Arians will leave behind is one of the great coaches and one of the great ambassadors of the sport for inclusion. So, we're talking about Leftwich and Bowles. The list doesn't end there. Over his 40-year coaching career, his staff has included so many different coordinators of color, but also females and women, and he's always been the person to be breaking down doors for inclusion. And if this is legacy is, hey, I'm passing over a team that's got Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Devin White to Todd Bowles, so that Todd Bowles can then go on to succeed, as opposed to giving Todd Bowles some crap sandwich of a bunch of guys and a new quarterback. That's a great legacy. Why now? Why, though, after the owners' meetings where Bruce Arians represented the team and not Todd Bowles? I'm told that there were still some things that had to be worked out with the league. And what do I mean by that? The Rooney Rule, by design, requires you to interview 2 minority candidates externally. Okay? You have to, no matter what. We're at March 27th when this thing is going down here. And even if he was going to do it in the beginning of March at free agency, that would have been March 13th, 14th. After March, after the start of March, you cannot interview for, the team could block you. So, like, if I said, hey, I want to interview, let's say, Aaron Glenn, the Detroit Lions, the Lions could say, no, it's March. You can't interview Aaron Glenn for your head coach. So that would have been a hurdle. And then there's this thing of, like, why are we interviewing Aaron Glenn? He wants to hire a minority candidate in Todd Bowles. Isn't that the definition of sham interview that Brian Flores brought up all along? Like, why are we dragging Aaron Glenn to this? So they had to deal with it with the league. The league and the Bucs are confident that they don't break the Rooney Rule by hiring Todd Bowles as a replacement. Let's get that out of the way.
Okay.
The other thing is what Arians said. I think if he steps away or if he's fired or whatever in February, they will hire outside, or they'll at least open that up. That's 31 different coaches and their families that are now in flux. Arians has said openly, and I think there is something to this, I'm not looking to ruin all those people's lives. I want to put them in a good place. So he gets to protect his staff, go to the front office, and also make sure all those people are taken care of. The Brady piece. Why did Brady retire? Why did Brady come back and then have this thing go out? I haven't spoken to Tom Brady. But when Tom Brady came back, did I not come on this show and say, last year ended weird. I would be shocked if there wasn't some changes made. There were some changes that happened overnight. And I think that Arians being there, they get along great. But I do think there had to be some sort of change. It turns out that Arians won't be coaching for his personal reasons, for his legacy, for all these things. His name will be on that Bucs Ring of Honor. There's no friction here. This guy is going to be loved as a Buccaneers coach for what he did. And I think Brady gets to go out and say, cheers to you. And that's where the story will lie publicly. Whatever happened privately, we don't have to address that because, hey, Byron Leftwich is going to be on staff. He's going to call the plays with Brady. Todd Bowles is the coach. Away we go. Let's try to win another one back. And the story does have a nice tie to it. But I would be skeptical if I came on here today and I was just like, everyone's great and all those things are great. Changes were made. Brady's back. And that's the story that I got today.
Bruce Arians wanting to hand the team off to Todd Bowles instead of is a very beautiful, magnanimous, generous story. All right, let's get this straight. Brady retires. Arians is out there saying, I'm still coaching. I'm coaching. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. The team gets Brady back, the greatest ever. They get their free agents. They get the Godwins. They're ready. They got a supple NFC. They're going to dance to another Super Bowl. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame if he wins theirs. And I think this is the time to... Come on. Mike posed the question, what better time than right now? How about after another boat parade that you are turnkey for? You're ready. And I don't think Tom Brady forced him out. I'm sure they get along fine. But I don't think Tom Brady is there playing if Bruce Arians is the head coach. I think it was a condition of his return. And that's okay. Listen, go to the Instagram. Are you kidding me with this? The story comes out. 30 seconds later, Brady has a beautifully composed message with the right emoji and the right message and just the perfect picture. And if that wasn't enough of showing the hand, are you kidding me? Look at the comments. An older gentleman is already on Instagram with his own emoji.
Brother.
Thanks, brother. And by the way, it was right above a comment from Hugh Jackman. Like, not Hugh Jackson, Hugh Jackman. A Wolverine!
Maybe Hugh Jackson chimed in too.
Yes, 2 Wolverines on that post. How about that? I think this has been extremely orchestrated, and the front office position is, the dog's going to the farm upstate, and we love that dog, and that's great, and we're gonna have it taken care of. It's fine, and it'll be great, and the team is gonna be fine. And I don't think that they hate each other, Sean. But I think Brady ran this thing from start to finish, got the guy he wanted, and the Bucs. Remember, they want him back. We were talking about Kyle Trask on the show, and they're like, I don't think it was a condition, Sean, but I think Tom said, I think I'd be much more comfortable coming back if maybe there was a coaching change. And he got it, and he's back.
Spicy.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'll say right off the gate, I wish he would have announced a little bit earlier so we didn't have to rip up the show.
That's a great point, Sean.
8:30 at night is a little late, BA.
Yeah.
All right, people are trying to do a morning show here, putting in some work. Think about others. To that point, Bruce Arians has always been thinking about others. And I appreciate what you're bringing up, and you guys have all brought up all the different levels to this. And I'll just personalize a little bit. I played for BA, and I've been in the locker room. I've been in the cafeteria. There isn't a single player that doesn't love BA. There isn't a single coach that doesn't love BA. So I hear the man, there's friction with Tom Brady and all that stuff. And I don't believe any of that from a standpoint of that they would, either one of them would force the other one out. Bruce Arians has coached Peyton Manning. He's coached Tim Couch, Kelly Holcomb when I was there, Ben Roethlisberger. And look, he led the league with Jameis Winston. So he was a little bit of a quarterback whisperer when you kind of think about what BA has brought to the NFL. And I think that the love aspect of it for BA, like, why did he do this and why now? He thought Todd Bowles was head coaching material. And the fact that Todd Bowles didn't get a head coaching job somewhere else is why I think he felt like he had to step in. He thought that Todd would get hired during this cycle. And it's, hey, when Bowlesy gets a job, all right, I'll stay for another year and then I'll hold down the fort. But when he didn't get it, it was, you know what, all right, I got to make the change. And I think for BA, I was in Cleveland. Todd Bowles was our defensive back coach. BA was our offensive coordinator. Nice. Our other defensive back coach was Chuck Pagano. You want to talk about Bruce Arians taking care of his guys. This is not the first time Bruce Arians has stepped down and retired. And he's done it 3 times. He left Pittsburgh. He was in his car. He was driving down to his lake house in Georgia, I think it is. And he was done. He had it all packed up. Chuck Pagano gets hired by the Indianapolis Colts. And he calls up BA and he says, hey, brother, I need you. We got to run this thing back. And BA is like, all right, turns the car around and comes back. And, of course, that was when Chuck Pagano was diagnosed with leukemia back in 2012. BA takes over. That was his first head coaching gig. And when you see the brotherhood and what he did with Chuck Pagano while Chuck was in the hospital and how much he stood up for him and how much he meant for him, you see the brotherhood that BA cares about. That's what I think is most important. And I think that's why it was such a big moment for him to be able to say, look, Bowlesy, this is the best time to do this because we're in great shape right now. You could take on over. And I think for anybody that has been around BA, they know that, like, his favorite time is 5 o'clock. And you know what? Now it may be 3 o'clock.
I was going to say, I think it might be a little earlier than even that.
Might be a little earlier.
It might have been.
I think now he gets a chance to kind of do a little bit more of what he wants to do.
Those are all beautiful stories, and I don't doubt that Bruce Arians has a fantastic relationship with absolutely everybody in the locker room, but I'm leaning towards KB.
Come on over.
And what he said. Did you guys hear what Sarah said when she was breaking everything down? She said, I just talked to Bruce, and he's really excited. He's fired up about all these off-season moves. That's a weird thing to be fired up about if you're around the corner from retirement. Obviously, he's got that in his head. So that was a little bit confusing. I don't know about you guys, but I was very much excited about Brady going to the Dolphins. I was hot on that. I saw the announcement last night, and I was like, it's a done deal, you guys. Come on. I start doing my due diligence and digging around. Mike McDaniel said this on Monday. Tom Brady on the Buccaneers, that Tom Brady, that has not been in the conversation about him coming to Miami. I think that's what you call fake news. So if you're at home, I know this started going viral last night. Everyone was Brady to Miami, Brady to Miami. It's not happening, guys, okay? We lost. We lost this one. We lost this
You already
battle.
had the jersey, didn't you?
I did. It was in my mind. It was going to be a beautiful thing. It was going to be more chaos in March. Would have loved it.